Did you know that the fastest, the best, the most thorough way to level up your life is to level up your ability to communicate? In fact, the quality of your life is going to be in direct correlation to how well you communicate, and especially when it comes to regarding business. Now, when I talk about communication, you probably are thinking about just talking. But that's just one aspect of communication. And when it comes to communication in business, we have internal communication and then we have external communication. Internal being how you talk to employees, how things are done in the company. And external communication is how things are done with clients and vendors and outside the organization. So the better you get at communicating, the better things are going to be both internally and externally. And it's more than just talking. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is about leveling up your business through being a better communicator and putting 3 simple tools in place that you can do and get fast results to become a company that communicates better, that ultimately levels up your life. And leveling up your life means enjoy working less, where your business isn't dependent upon you being there all the time. It's about the business not being dependent upon you or even somebody else in the company. Because we all know that there's people in our company that we would describe them as bottlenecks. Bottlenecks are people where things always flow to. And they may always get things done, and they may be fantastic and have all the answers, but you don't want to build your business based on depending on a bottleneck, whether that bottleneck is you or somebody else. So as we level up our communication, we start to eliminate those situations happening in our business. You also have a business that starts to support your lifestyle rather than you needing to support the business. When you level up communication, this is what happens. And also, and probably one of the most important reasons to level up your communication in your business, is that businesses that aren't dependent upon you or dependent upon someone specifically in your company to operate and run well, that is a much more valuable company to somebody who may be interested in purchasing your company. And it's also a much easier situation to have family members or succession come into place and take over a company that's run without you being involved or someone else specifically being involved. This all happens when we level up our communication in business. So I'm going to share with you 3 tools that you can incorporate that will level up your life fast when you do this. But before I do that, I want to share with you about 4 levels of value, because understanding these levels of value will determine or reveal where you fall in this process of leveling up your communication. I think when you start out as a business owner, you're the only one, you do everything. The business is totally dependent upon you. But you get results, you get clients, people start to pay you, and eventually you start to hire people. And typically, this is what it looks like. You hire somebody, you teach them on the job, verbally, do as I say, I'm going to show you how to do it, and your hope is that they get it, that they understand it, that they do it like you do, so that the client gets the results that they're paying for. And typically, this works well for, a smaller company, less than 10 employees. You as a business owner can operate the company and can get results because you have enough bandwidth to help them understand, deal with, navigate problems, so on and so forth. But the problem is you're still dependent upon it. And that honestly is the lowest level of value when it comes to running a business. That low level of value is called implementation. And implementation is where you're basically, you own the business, but it requires your time and effort to make things happen. If you stop working, then so does the business. The business stops working or starts to deteriorate or deteriorate fast because you're not there. So when you're first starting out, it may just be you. And you may own a business, but in reality, you just own a job, because at a job, you are getting paid to show up. You are getting paid for results. You're getting paid to do something. You may get commission, but if you don't show up and do something, commission stops. So at this low level of implementation, trading time for money that's the value of it. We want to level up. The next level is what's called unification. And unification is about managing other people to get things done. And I think this is where most business owners get stuck. This is where they're at. There's a level of success, there's a level of income that's coming in, but it's still dependent upon you. If you didn't show up, things wouldn't get done right, or things would start to deteriorate. And at the unification level, you have either promoted or you've hired a manager underneath you to manage other people or to get things done. You're unifying how things are done. You're unifying the people that are overseeing what needs to get done. That's why it's called unification. But you can get to a point where you're stuck and you're trapped if you don't level up your communication. And again, in this video, I'm going to talk about 3 tools that you can put in place so that you can get out of the unification level of value for your company and really start to experience the benefit of owning a business. And that's really why you started a business, right? Is to reap the rewards, to experience more time, to be able to not be maybe under a boss, but to be able to come and go, to be able to go on vacation, spend time with family, maybe to golf, maybe to not be tied down to where it feels like the business owns you. But typically, in the unification level, this is where business owners feel stuck and trapped, and they still feel like they own a job rather than owning a business. So typically what happens when you hire somebody, you teach them everything you know, and you hope that they get it, that they understand it. And it's a risky way to build a business just based on like tribal knowledge, or what I call osmosis, where they just pick up things by being around you. So most businesses operate this way, but to level up, you got to do things different. But as your business grows, eventually you're going to start to hire other people. And that's probably where you're at right now, is you have maybe 10 employees, 15 employees, 20 employees, and it feels like you're dependent upon them. So the risk of staying at the unification level is, without incorporating these principles here, is that if somebody leaves, that manager, you trained them, they were doing so well, and then you hired more people underneath them. If there's no communication system in place, then if this manager ends up leaving, then this is where it feels like you keep falling behind, or you never can get ahead, because you then have to step in as a manager and make sure everything is like getting done. Plus, you have to either promote somebody and train them, or you have to hire somebody, which we know hiring takes time. So you're like going backwards. So getting out of the unification value to the next level is key. And that next level is what's that level of, it's called level of communication. So at this level of communication, here's what happens. It's when the business literally starts to run on its own because it's running on systems and processes that are in place that aren't dependent upon you, and it's not dependent upon one single person or maybe a couple of people. The goal is to be able to receive income, to have it start coming in regardless of you, how much time that you're putting in. This is where I'm going to show you three tools that you must put in place, that you can put in place to really get the experience of operating your business where the value of communication is taking place. Because once you have a business where you can step away and it not only sustains and doesn't deteriorate, but it grows. When you have a business like that, it gives you time. And when you have time, you now have the ability and the bandwidth to go to the highest level of value, or to operate and spend the majority of your time at the highest level of value for a company or a business, which is the level of imagination, which basically means it's the level where you have time to think. Because when you have time to think, now you can start to get clarity, you can start to see things, and you can start to, imagine. You can start to get ideas on how things could be done better. Maybe you get other ideas for a different business. You have bandwidth to think. Thinking takes time. Thinking takes space. And as a business owner operating at the lower levels of value, you never have time, or it's really hard to carve out time, or it's really inconvenient to carve out time to think. You have to be very strategic to carve out thinking time. But when you're at that level where the business is running without you, you now have that time, and it's much easier, and there's a lot less effort and energy needed to operate your business when you're at that imagination level. But most of us get stuck down in level 1 or level 2, the implementation and the unification level, that ultimately those levels require your time to make it work. So the first part of breaking out of that is to level up your communication to be a better communicator. So the three levels, the three tools that'll help you elevate your communication so that your business can run without you and you can have a more valuable business. The first thing, or one of the tools in there, and this is going to sound probably crazy, and you may even have some of this in your business, but it's to have your business operating based on a system of checklists. What do checklists do? Checklists, they tell you what to do, what to do, how to do, and when to do things. That's the purpose of checklists. And checklists are both proactive and they're also like reactive. So sometimes you have checklists in place that they tell you step by step, this is how you do something. This is when you do something. And there's another side of checklists where they're more of like follow-up and backup. Like we do a lot of things. I'm in the aviation industry and we're checklist heavy because, safety matters, quality matters, service matters, and there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of one-offs and potential emergencies and stuff like that take place in aviation that you need checklists. I'm not even talking about flying the airplane. I'm just talking about the business in and of itself. And these running the business through checklists enables people to know what to do and how to do it. And even if you don't follow checklists to do something, if you have a checklist that is a reminder to make sure that you didn't miss any steps, that is another benefit of the checklist. So checklist, having your business, having your department, having your people run on checklists is how you start to get free. And checklists, guess what? Everything that I've been talking about, how, when, what, those are all communication terms. Those are all establishing communication. You're communicating, this is how we do this. This is when we do this. This is who does this. Those are communication terms. So when you're leveling up your communication, I'm talking about leveling up processes that bring clarity into how things are done. And this eliminates the humanness of forgetting. Because when you teach somebody how to do something and they're right next to you, and it's not based on a checklist, you're just hoping that they remember what you're saying. You're just hoping and expecting that they're going to do it. And most of the time they do a great job, but as business grows, so does complexity. So does the volume of things that come in. And as things start to come in higher volumes, or maybe quicker, or the complexity goes up, then that's when not having a checklist starts to make things start to crumble, and you start building your company based on maybe riskier practices, hoping that they remember, hoping that they're going to do the right step, hoping that the distraction they just had isn't going to derail the process and they're going to miss something. Because ultimately, our clients deserve to get a quality product, a quality service on a consistent basis. That's because when that happens, then that's when the money flows in. And we want the money to be able to flow in without us having to be involved, without you as a business owner have to be involved in all the steps. And the way to do that is to level up your communication through checklists. That's the first tool. The second tool is what's called a job scorecard. A job scorecard is a document for every single employee that says, what is the purpose of their position? Written in like 1 to 2 sentences. The second part of a job scorecard is, what are the 5 to 8 things that they're responsible for? And what does a good job look like when they do those 5 to 8 things? See, when you're not, the job scorecard doesn't tell them what to do, doesn't tell them how to do it. It tells them, if you do a good job, this is what it looks like. And when you have employees who know what's expected of them and they know what a good job is, then they're going to be in a more psychologically safe mind space, head space, and they're going to be healthier. They're going to know the boundaries of what's expected of them. Most employees, they want to please you. They want to do right by the customer. They want to do things well. They want to know what to do. But a lot of times when we haven't taken the time to write out these simple little things, communicating, when we don't do this, then things start to crumble and fall apart when you're not around, or when somebody's not around to remind them or to tell them, are they doing a good job or not? So the job scorecard is the second communication tool that you can level up in your business, literally like today. Number one, what's the purpose of their job? What's the purpose of the position? What are the 5 to 8 things that they'll be responsible for? And what does a good job look like when it's done right? And the third part of the job scorecard is 8 to 10 behavioral characteristics specifically for that job. Why is this important? Is because a lot of times the friction and issues that we have at work is we have somebody that's not behaving in a certain way. They may be getting the job done right, but if they're a jerk about it, or if their behavior is counter to the core values, or they don't have the skill set necessary for the job in the first place, then there's just a lot of friction. And it causes a lot of pain and a lot of stress, and it makes your job harder. It makes the manager's job harder of managing people that it hasn't been clear, hasn't been communicated what the expectations are on behavior. Not just what they're responsible for doing, not just what a good job looks like, but there's clarity on the behavior here. So I call that the job scorecard. So it's a communication tool. We're leveling up our communication with the goal of not only providing people a set of checklists on what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, but you're creating a job scorecard for them that's communicating to them, this is your job, this is what's expected of you, this is what a good job looks like, these are the behavior traits. It's like, boom, clarity. There's no grayness. You're eliminating ambiguity. You're eliminating confusion. People are happier when they have this in place. And guess what? When it comes time to promote somebody into that position, you have the document on what's expected of them. Have you ever thought of promoting somebody into a new position and they're like, well, what's expected of me? What's this job all about? When you haven't taken the time to write a simple one-page document job scorecard, then now you're going to be like, I don't know. I mean, you're just going to like do this or whatever. But when you have that document in place, you can hand it to them and say, this is what it is. This is what this job is all about. This is what the position is all about. This is what you're going to be responsible for. And this is how you're going to have to behave in this position. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm totally in. I totally want to do that. Or they're going to be like, I don't know if that would be a good fit for me. And you immediately, through communicating through this simple tool, you now have maybe eliminated bringing the wrong person into this position and saved days and weeks and months of heartache and pain of having the wrong person doing this job. That's what the scorecard does. That's the second tool for communicating and leveling up. The third tool of this is quarterly conversations. What are quarterly conversations? Quarterly conversations are conversations that happen quarterly with every employee, with their supervisor or manager. And it's actually a checklist. It's a written down format of a conversation that's going to take place. It's a communication tool. You sit down with your direct reports once a quarter and you talk about the same things in this order. What we do is we call it 5 minutes of talking about the core values, 5 minutes talking about their role, 5 minutes talking about what the company's doing, and then you ask them what's working from their perspective and what's not working from their perspective. And you listen, and you get to hear things. You get to hear what's bothering them. You get to hear what's working. You get to see if there's alignment that they're actually been operating in the role that they were hired to do. You get to give them feedback on how you see them doing. Are they operating within, the values of the company? Are they doing the job that they were hired to do? You get to communicate, hey, this is what's going on with the company. This is what's going on in the department. This is what's going on in other departments. Because I've learned over the years that people like to know what's going on. But when you establish this communication tool called quarterly conversations, you now start to communicate these things and people are like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. Oh, that's amazing. Or, oh, I didn't know I was not, I was doing this job that really isn't my role. You're going to learn like, wow, that is a fantastic idea. I'm so glad we're going to implement that. Or we're going to hear things that are like, holy crap, I had no idea that was going on. I had no idea this person was doing that. Or I had no idea it was taking this long to get this thing accomplished. You carve out time for quarterly conversations. The conversation literally takes less than an hour, but it's intentional. It's on the calendar once a quarter. You have these. It's not a review. This is a tool to level up your communication as a business owner, as a manager. And when you level up your communication, you're leveling up your life. That's what this whole process of leveling up and how leveling up your communication can change your life. Those three things, if you incorporate these three tools in your business this year, you're going to get positive, amazing results fast. And as a business owner, guess what? You start creating a business that revolves around processes. They aren't dependent upon one single person. Yes, we want the right people doing it. Yes, people are important. But if you have all these processes in place, written down in checklist form, when people know what to do it, how to do it, when to do it, and somebody leaves the company, you know what? It's not detrimental, because now somebody else can come right in and they can pick up where that checklist is. They can pick up that checklist and know this is what's expected of me. When you go through the hiring process of hiring somebody, you have a job scorecard, you know what to look for. You can promote from within and people know what's expected of them. And you have regular communication going on through quarterly conversations. This is a healthy company. This is going to make your company way more valuable than it being dependent upon you to make everything work. If someone wanted to come and buy your business or evaluate your business and they find out it only works because of you, that business is going to be way less valuable than they see that it runs based on systems and processes through communication tools that enhance productivity and efficiency, and they're not based on you or specific people in your company. And it's going to buy you some time. It's not only going to buy you some time, it's going to buy your time back as a business owner, because you can step away for lengths at a time and things are going to continue to run. Things are continuing to get better even without you being there. So that is how you level up your communication and why it'll drastically affect your life. Hope you got something out of this. Like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.